Putuo Mountain is one of the four most important mountains for Buddhism in China. In its heyday, there were about 200 over temples, and there are only about 30 nowadays, but the place still gets about 3.3 million visitors a year. So let's find out why all these people choose to come to Putuo Mountain. Let's go. Join me on this journey. I'm Michelle Lean. Welcome to Travelogue.
Putuo Island, or the island of Putuo Mountain, is part of Zhoushan Prefecture in Zhejiang Province. But this is where it gets a little confusing, as you'll often hear of the Zhoushan Islands being referred to as mountains. And that's because once upon a time, they were. Now all you can see are the tops of these mountains, and they are what forms the group of Zhoushan Islands. There are more than 1,000 islands here, and while Putuo is only one of them, it gets more than its fair share of the visitors here. And the reason for this is simple: Buddhism. To get to Putuo, you can fly to Zhoushan Airport, and from there take a bus and ferry across to Putuo Island. There are 4 flights a week from Beijing, and 2 or 3 a day from Shanghai. There are also flights from most major cities in China. Oh, and also remember, when you arrive at Putuo, there's a landing charge of 160 RMB per person. The first temple built on Putuo Island was in honor of the Goddess of Mercy.
A long time ago, a Japanese monk was traveling with a statue of Guan Yin, the Goddess of Mercy, when he got caught in a storm at sea. And what happened was he started praying to Guan Yin in the hope that he would arrive somewhere safely. And he did. He arrived at the island of Putuo Mountain. And that's how Buddhism came to Putuo Mountain. This is where the first temple was. And the locals say that it wasn't the pilgrims or the monks that chose the place where the Guan Yin statue was to be erected, but it was actually Guan Yin herself.
Now, legend has it that it wasn't a Japanese sailor who chose Putuo as the location for a temple to the Goddess of Mercy, but the Goddess of Mercy herself, who it seems saved the Japanese sailor's life just so he could erect a temple here. The temple is the only one on the island built in the architectural style of the Tang dynasty, and it may be small, but it's certainly quite important. Putuo is one of the 4 famous Buddhist mountains in China. Thanks to its amazing landscape, it's sometimes called Heaven on the Sea and the Kingdom of Buddhists. Many legends are told about how the Goddess of Mercy came to Putuo. The most famous is about a monk who had stolen a statue of the goddess from a temple in China, planning to take it to Japan. However, out at sea, he was caught in a terrible storm. He prayed to the Goddess of Mercy, promised to build a temple in her honor if his life was saved, and lo and behold, an invisible hand guided his boat to Putuo.
If you're going down the Pilgrim Walk, you probably won't notice these stone carvings immediately because of how intricate they are and how well they blend into the surroundings. But they depict the setting free of captured animals, because I was told earlier that in Buddhism, they believe that all creatures are created equal and no human should capture any living creature or animal. It's really, really sweet. What are they doing?
They are throwing the coin.
Why?
For in Chinese, Guan Yin literally means whenever one is in trouble, just make a sound and call her name. Then Guan Yin would come to help you immediately.
And Guan Yin is the Goddess of Mercy?
Yes, this one.
Yeah. Cool. All right, so if ever you need help, you just throw coins into this thing and it makes a clink clink sound, after which he'll know to come help you. Okay, so I'll give you one and we'll chuck it in. Okay. Call her name?
Yeah, call her
Okay,
name.
so
You-
I got it in. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you did. That was a pretty good try.
Fuji Temple is the largest temple on Putuo Island. Built in 1916, it still serves as a place of worship. The story is told about Emperor Zhuang, who visited the temple disguised as a peasant. A monk refused to let him in through the main door and instead insisted that he should use a side entrance. This infuriated the emperor, and he ordered that no one should ever be allowed to use the main entrance again. And this is why if you visit Fuji Temple, you have to enter through a side door. Fuji and the other temples on Putuo Island are busiest on the 1st and 15 days of each lunar month. Another important day of worship is the birthday of the Goddess of Mercy, which falls on the 26th day at the 1st lunar month. But even if you're not a Buddhist, you can get a taste of what life's like here for a monk by having lunch with the temple's residents. A fully vegetarian buffet will set you back 10 RMB. But remember, Buddhism preaches that nothing must ever go to waste, so only take what you can eat, and don't forget to do your own dishes afterwards. Our next temple stop is Huiji Temple, the tallest temple on the island. The temple is 6 stories high, and one thing you can't help noticing is that the roofs at each level have different colored tiles. Aside from the most complete and astounding view of Putuo Island, Huiji Temple is also famous for its large collection of ancient brick carvings portraying, you guessed it, the Goddess of Mercy. If you want to make it up to the temple, it's a leisurely trek up more than 1,000 stone steps. The path itself is paved with carvings, ancient calligraphy, and lotus leaves, all testifying to the presence of the Goddess of Mercy. It's said that walking up this path cleanses you of all your sins. Alternatively, you can also take a cable car ride up.
Putuo Shan's about over 300 meters high, so if you get tired of walking up this steep hill, you can always take a cable car down. And it's a great view on the way down as well.
On the walk up to Huiji Temple, you may well get a demonstration of Buddhist dedication. When you see the monks and others stop every 3 steps to bow towards the statue of the Goddess of Mercy, you get a real understanding of the power of Buddhism to inspire devotion. I took the cable car down just to get a different view. This time, I wanted to see not the people, but the reason for their visit, the temples and the amazing landscape. At one time, there were around 100 temples on Putuo Island, but now there are only around 30 left. From the cable car, you can also see some of the local houses. Most of the people who live on this island are Buddhists, and in most of the houses, you'll find altars dedicated to the Goddess of Mercy. By the way, to get to Huiji Temple, you should take bus number 2 from the port. Another must-see temple is Fayu Temple at the foot of Floating Mountain, which is at the northern end of the famous Thousand-Step Beach. Originally called the Sea Tide Nunnery, Fayu Temple started out in life as a simple hut, but it has expanded over the years, and it is now the 2nd largest temple on the island. In 1699, the Qing Emperor Kangxi moved an entire palace building from his capital in what is today Nanjing to Putuo, where it housed a shrine to the Goddess of Mercy. It's interesting to note that the temple is built on 6 layers so that it follows the natural contours. An entrance ticket into Fayu Temple will set you back a mere 5 RMB.
It gets kind of busy during the day up in Putuo Mountain with all the people visiting the temples. But if you opt to stay here, you can enjoy the tranquility of the early mornings and the late evening when everyone's gone. And I'll tell you this, it's superb because there's a cool breeze in my hair and there's so much greenery around, the birds are chirping, and this wonderful smell. I'm not sure what it is exactly, but it smells a little bit like jasmine. Oh, it's wonderful. It's so nice to get away from the city once in a while.
I reckon one of the best times to visit Putuo is in spring. This time I'm here in May, and it's really beautiful. The trees are in full bloom and the air is filled with soft perfume of the flowers. It's sort of like walking around the edge of an aromatherapy pot. The weather is pretty perfect too, sunny in the day and cool in the evenings. And even if you aren't religious, it's easy to get a sense of tranquility here. You learn to slow down, breathe in deep, and enjoy the quiet of the area. It can get a little busy with the flood of tourists, but if you stay away from the main tourist route, you'll be able to find some peace and quiet. There are quite a few 4-star hotels in Putuo, but we chose to stay at a monastery instead. We picked one of the smaller ones, the Shuangchuan Temple, and stayed overnight, getting up in time to watch the monks at their ritual morning prayers at 5 a.m. I'm not really used to a 7:30 p.m. curfew. That's when the main doors are closed for the night. But who needs a late night when you're looking for a little zen? I was expecting a 4